What's up, YouTube and Mixer? Multi-Apples here, bringing another live stream. Although on YouTube it'll just be like a video now. So yeah, I'm live streaming on Mixer right now. Link is in the description if you ever want to watch me on Mixer whenever I live stream. I'm gonna try to live stream every day from now on. I live streamed a little bit on Mixer yesterday. I say a little bit, but it was more or less about an hour. Actually. So yeah, I live streamed for about an hour yesterday. I uploaded it earlier today. So yeah, we're gonna be playing some MX versus ATV All Out. Go ahead and play. Yeah, we're playing MX versus ATV All Out. So let's go ahead and just do some races. I don't know how long I'll be streaming, but I do plan on streaming for a little bit. So yeah, I am sitting in my chair now. So yeah, so I will try to live stream on Mixer every day. Now I tested live streaming with XSplit and Google Chrome earlier today, and my game just lagged. The video just lagged, not the game. The video lagged. So yeah, that's not gonna work out. I'm just gonna probably do like maybe, but I want to stream on YouTube a little bit, so on the same day I usually go live, so I will just probably do like a short 30-second stream or something like that, just to maybe let y'all know I'm on Mixer, or just testing out something, or not necessarily testing out, but just showing a little bit of the game, not too long of a stream, which sucks because I do want to live stream on YouTube. And it seems like the only time I can live stream as long as I want to is on YouTube is the Just Talking podcast. That sucks. And I don't mind doing the Just Talking podcast, but I prefer to actually do I prefer to play video games while I'm live streaming. That's just me, though. That's just me. I hope y'all are doing well whatever time of day you're watching. I'm doing well, thanks for asking. So, should be uploading this to YouTube the same day I am live streaming this on Mixer. So yeah, so I had studio production and business of film and TV today in class at the University of Arkansas Little Rock. I had a couple classes, obviously. Studio production, we're just gonna start up on the first project. So yeah, film and business of TV. We just do lectures, and today we talked about how to get investors for films, which in my opinion was very interesting. I know the easiest way to actually get investors for your film is actually to get to crowdfund it when you're starting out in the film industry as an independent filmmaker, which is pretty cool. At least I think it's pretty cool. I'd make a terrible screenplay writer, but I love making the films. So if I ever do decide to make, like, I do want to make movies, but if I ever do decide to make my own independent films, regardless of whether I work for a big company or not, I'm creating a film. I'm gonna hire someone, or at least work with someone who's a screenwriter. So yeah. I mean, if you're a screenwriter and you want me to make, and I do decide I do want to make my own films eventually. So if you want me to use your screenplay, let me know. But I don't know. I doubt anyone would want. I don't know. I'm just putting that idea out there. As of right now, I have no experience in terms of making films, so I eventually do want to start making my own films. I I'd have to look into getting for paid content on YouTube, and I think that's only when you're with the channel network. I wouldn't know if you're if that actually you're with YouTube's ad program or AdSense. My channel is currently not eligible for monetization because I don't have 4,000 hours watched in the past year, and I don't have 1,000 subscribers. So, if you're willing to watch my videos on YouTube and subscribe, that would mean the world to me. I'm currently at 285 subscribers as of this live stream. So yeah. I totally forgot to ask my teacher about paid content in terms of a subscription based on YouTube. I meant to do that today. I actually remembered during class, but I wanted to ask him outside of class since we were on a different subject after class, but um I forgot. And to be honest, I was extremely tired because on Mondays I go in well, starting today, I went in early to actually starting today I went in early so I can get some crew roll points, which I explained in my last stream on on YouTube and Mixer. Um so I woke up about 6 today. 6:30, I think. Uh left Well, yeah, I arrived at about school at about 7:30, and then at 8 me and a classmate started setting up everything for class. So I was able to get some of the crew roll points from my class, so that was good. Um, so yeah, that's about all what I did today is just studio production. We just continued practicing as if we were actually in a studio and preparing our first project. And then business of film and TV, we just continued to talk about how to make films. That's about it. I really have no idea what to talk about now. Well, maybe. Yeah. So I actually find mass communication interesting, in my opinion. Like I said, like I said earlier, I want to make movies, but I also I want to direct and edit and produce movies. I also want to direct, edit, and produce television shows as well. Those are the two main things I want to. I know for a fact, based off studio production, I know I'm a terrible on-screen talent. Although to be fair, I really wasn't taking it too seriously. Although I know I kind of was, but I kind of wasn't, if that makes any sense. I'd be a terrible on-screen talent. But I think the worst thing I'm at, I'm the worst thing I'm at in terms of studio production would be actually a switchboard operator. So I would be horrible at that. I literally can do anything else, including talent, even though I'm terrible at that. I'd have to ad lib. Like if I'm doing weather, for example, and I don't have the teleprompter in front, and one good thing is that they have teleprompters so you can read off of it. But if I say like I'm the weatherman, I would be, and they would require me to ad lib. Well, even if I was TV presenter, I would be terrible. I don't think it would be good for the station I'm working at. If I do eventually work at a news station, for me to be on talent, I'd get fired easily and fined by the FCC. That yeah. It's not that I'd say anything. Well, I'd say I was about to say it's not like I'd say anything offensive, but some people find swearing offensive, which I can understand, and I have a bad habit of swearing, and I need to really cut down on that habit. I'm self-aware enough to know that is one bad habit I have. That I need to change. But the old habits die hard, so it's gonna be tough. But I do want to actually, yeah. I'd be a good comedian for sure. It's just I wouldn't be in terms of um doing live television. I would be terrible at because of that because of my because of using swear words. Um. So yeah, I'd be terrible in that sense on talent, but I also find that like now I don't show my. Maybe it's because I need someone to talk to, and I kind of am self censoring myself because in terms of the jokes, there are some jokes that aren't very appropriate. I can think of. I'm not gonna say them because they're offensive, and I know they're offensive, and I know obviously I don't believe any of the offensive jokes, but it's kind of like how in Pixar slash Disney movies there are kind of like dirty jokes for the adults in the watching them with their kids. That, for example, I know Toy Story has. I know a lot of Pixar films. I know Toy Story 3 is the one that comes to mind. I don't remember the inappropriate joke or the dirty joke, but they'll have jokes hidden there that the young audience won't get and the kids won't get, but only adults will. Those are the kind of jokes that I really like. I like I tend to laugh at. But then again, in the name of comedy, nothing is off limits, so but I do understand why people get offended by offensive jokes, which is why I'm not saying them. So yeah. Like Family Guy. Family Guy is, in my opinion, Family Guy is a hilarious show. It's an adult cartoon. I have to pause it to move the mouse so my computer won't die. So yeah, I think Family Guy is hilarious. Let me let me make sure. Okay. So yeah, Family Guy is hilarious, but there are people who don't like it there are jokes because their jokes are offensive, which I completely understand. I think Family Guy is hilarious. Um, so yeah, and I can understand because some of the jokes may have offended me, but and that, in my opinion, have crossed the line, which is really it's in terms of jokes, it's hard for me to get upset and offended by jokes, but yeah. I mean, obviously, everyone has a different sense of humor. I kind of like witty humor as well. I mentioned in several videos that am a huge fan of battle rap. I say huge, but I'm a fan of battle rap, and my two favorite rap leagues are actually Don't Flop, which I don't think they upload battles anymore. They've had a couple events this year, which was like their first series of events in well over a year or two. And they haven't actually uploaded any of the battles that have happened, and these have happened. Some of the events have happened in like May or June. Granted, it's only September, but still, it's 3 months. About 2 to 3 months where you can. They could have easily edited and uploaded the video. And there are leagues out there that do that'll take their time in terms of editing videos, but they do upload them within a couple of months. Within like a month or two, they start uploading battles. So like, Don't Flop, the Don't Flop Entertainment, which is a rap battle league. There's this one rapper. A lot of people find him hilarious. There's one battler named O'Shea who has kind of a crude sense of humor that a lot of people, including myself included, find him hilarious. And so that's an example of some of the humor I like. And another rap league, I call it promotion, but it's actually a battle league. Is called King of the Dot, and King of the Dot, Don't Flop is based in London, England, by the way. Whereas King of the Dot's based in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. If I got the province incorrect, please correct me in the comment section. But King of the Dot, they do have some witty rappers like Kid Twist and Tricky P, who are hilarious rap battlers in my opinion. Don't Flop, I mentioned, they have there's this slang term for, I think I know what it means. I have like a basic understanding. They're called bars. So people often compare bars over jokes, and I have a basic understanding of bars. I don't know how to explain it, but I do understand it. And a lot of like Americans who are a fan of battle rap will actually choose, in my opinion, bars over jokes. Whereas I'll choose jokes over bars. So like URL, which is the Ultimate Rap League, is the biggest promotion in rap. It's the biggest rap battle league in the United States. They do more bars than jokes, whereas that makes any sense. Whereas King of the Dot has a fine line between jokes, rappers or battlers who do jokes, and rappers who do bars. Whereas King of the Dot, or Don't Flop, they mainly do jokes over bars, and I think you'd have to be at least. I'm not sure, like to most people who aren't really that much of fans may not know what I'm talking about when I say bars over jokes or jokes over bars, but most battle fans will understand. But there are other leagues I do. There are other battle leagues I do watch. In my home state of Arkansas, there's Southern Slang Battle League, which I've watched before. I've watched Base Mentality, which is based in Sweden. Now, I don't look at I don't speak Swedish, so I don't watch any of the battles in Swedish. But they've had a battle that's in English, and I've seen that. It's between Henry Bowers and Disaster. I've watched Flip Top Battles, which is a league in the Philippines. I think it's the most viewed battle league in the world, if I remember correctly. They had one battle. I think it was Zito versus Sharon. It was actually Zito would mainly speak in like Tagalog and Spanish and maybe other local languages. I don't exactly know. While Sharon would rap in English, and it was a subtitle battle. So that's the only time I watched the battle. I actually stayed through the battle. That was in that was in a language I don't understand. I've seen a couple of battle highlight videos of battles in a German battle league, and I watched maybe a minute or two of a Russian battle league, but I don't understand any of the languages. And at the time, I didn't know they were in Russian because of the fact that King of the Dot last year, it was either last year or the year before, they had Oxymoron, who's a rapper and rap battler from Moscow, Russia, and he battled in English, and that was the first time I actually heard of him. And so he was in for versus Russia. He had several battles there, and at the time I thought he would rap in English, but he didn't. He rapped in Russian. English is the only language I can actually speak, read, and write fluently. Any other language I don't know, which is a shame because I would love to learn other languages. I know some words in Spanish. I know some Spanish words. I know how to say hello in French. There's a curse word I know for Dutch. I'm like half Dutch, so Dutch is the language I want to learn the most. Um, yeah, Latin, I only know one word, which is est. Like, I think it's EST. If I remember correctly, it's translated into English is. Now to say hello in German, like some of the languages I know, when I say some of the words, it's basically just several words. Like I know that, like I used to take Spanish classes back in high school or throughout elementary. So I think it's required in the United States to take some foreign language. So, I did take Spanish a couple of years, and I did take French for a year, and I've forgotten a lot of it, but I know how to like say hello, how are you in Spanish. Um, how do you say which is como se dice? Um, yeah, just general phrases, but I'm not fluent in any language besides English. Although I would love to learn, I would actually. They're like estimated to be 5,000 to 6,000 languages out there, and while I like to learn every one of them, it's unrealistic that I will. The languages I would probably like to learn the most would probably be Spanish, French, Portuguese, and Dutch. And Dutch is the language I'd like to learn the most, because I mentioned I'm half Dutch. Sorry, I had to scratch my neck. I know Monday Night Raw is on today, but I watched maybe like 58 minutes of it, and yeah, Let me move my mouse really quick. I watched about an hour of Monday Night Raw, but I don't think I can't get into WWE anymore. Um, Mainly because of the fact of their booking, especially with the ending of the pay-per-view last night. How the main event, the Hell in a Cell match, excuse me for my language, ended in a no contest, which makes no sense whatsoever. Um, I wanted Braun Strowman to win because the way I'd book each Money in the Bank contract holders for them to win when they cash in, always win. Um, and Braun Strowman didn't win. And WWE always pushes. They always try to make Roman Reigns the top. They try to make him the face of the company at the expense of literally everyone else on the entire roster, and at the expense of good storylines. Like, their storylines haven't been good in years. There've been, in my opinion, really only three storylines that I can remember that are really good, in my opinion. I say three? Yes. Okay. It was the Daniel Bryan versus the Authority storyline from 2013 to 2014. That was a great storyline. In my opinion. Lasted from August 2013 to maybe April. No, I would say about May 2014. That was a great storyline. I really loved that, especially with Daniel Bryan becoming WWE Champion at WrestleMania 30. There's another storyline with CM Punk versus Triple H. That was a great storyline, in my opinion, and the only thing that would have made it better is like CM Punk versus John Cena and Triple H and Alberto Del Rio. The only thing, that even that story, in my opinion, the storyline. There's one thing I would like to change about that. Would be CM Punk actually beating Triple H at Night of Champions 2011. Actually, I liked the entire Mark Henry World Heavyweight Championship storyline in 2011, so that's 4. Now, there's also the Nexus storyline, which I wouldn't have written the storyline and booked it the way WWE did. I would have had the Nexus winning at SummerSlam, and I would have had Wade Barrett eventually I would have had Wade Barrett win the WWE Championship at Night of Champions. And I would have actually had, I still would have broken the Nexus up and still created the core, but I would have done it out of, have David Otunga, Heath Slater, and Justin Gabriel leave. And maybe I would leave, Michael Tarver. I'd actually have Michael Tarver go over to, okay, I like Daniel Bryan versus The Miz, so I'd have Daniel Bryan leave the Nexus. And I'd actually, I'm not sure, it'd be mainly David Otunga and Justin Gabriel and Heath Slater. Now, I can figure out the 4th person that leaves from the Nexus. And, like, they'll leave out of jealousy. And they'll feud with Wade Barrett over the WWE Championship. And, like, you could have, like, one side, like the original Nexus. There's no new Nexus crap. And Ezekiel Jackson doesn't join the core. So I would have actually, the way I would have done is that I would have had, booked it to where Wade Barrett wins, the WWE Championship at Night of Champions in the 6-pack challenge. Then I would have actually had David Otunga and John Cena. Still, they would have won the now Raw Tag Team Championships, but they would have dropped it to maybe Michael McGillicuddy, or he would have joined. Like, I would have them drop it to the 2 of the guys that stay there, and I would have, like, at the time the United States Championship was on Raw, and I would at least maybe have, I wouldn't have all the titles, so maybe I wouldn't actually have the United States Championship. I'll leave that for Daniel Bryan versus The Miz, which was a great feud. So yeah, I would have probably had them feud over the WWE Championship and Tag Team Championship. And I would have eventually had Wade Barrett drop it to someone outside of the Nexus. Because the score crew, I wouldn't have him drop it to a member of the core. I'd have the core screw him over. Um, and then maybe at like the Royal Rumble, and then I would have actually had, as a revenge, I would actually have the Nexus screw the core out of the tag team championship, and I'd have the core as faces. They'd be good guys, whereas the Nexus would be the bad guys. And I would have a 4-on-4 elimination tag team match between the core and the Nexus. Um, and like the winning group would have the losing group would disband. If that makes any sense. And I just have it end there. But yeah, most of their storylines really haven't been good. They've had good matches, which I'll still watch WWE, but I don't think I'll be watching it as much as I used to. I know I'm doing terrible in this race, but I'm not trying to win it now. It's a shame because there really aren't that many promotions that are as big here in the US. Now, Impact Wrestling comes on every Thursday, and I do want to start watching that. I really need to get into a habit of watching Impact Wrestling. I think what I'll do is I'll stream earlier than I usually do on Thursdays than I have been, and then I'll probably stream later than I want later, like after Raw on Mondays. Stream for about an hour. So yeah, I really have to get into a habit of watching Impact Wrestling. There's traditional championship wrestling, which is a local promotion here in Arkansas that no longer has events, but they still air weekly on local TV here. I need to start watching that again. It isn't the greatest promotion, but I do want to start watching it. There's also Ring of Honor, but my main problem with Ring of Honor is that one, their shows are an hour long, and two, it comes on really late on a Sunday night. So I'd probably have to look up shows to watch. And then, yeah, Impact Wrestling, it used to be known as TNA. Doesn't have, well, I haven't watched it, but from what I heard, they haven't had any good storylines in a while. But I don't know, I wouldn't. So I need to get more familiar with the roster. Now, I mentioned that CMLL, which is a promotion based in Mexico. I think I mentioned them before. I love Lucha Libre. They live stream every Monday and Tuesday during Raw. So they live stream on YouTube. So I would love to actually watch that. The only problem I have with that is I don't speak Spanish, so I can't understand anything. But I still do enjoy the wrestling. But yeah, I wish like CMLL would make a deal with like a big company here in the United States, and they could have like they could air on Telemundo they could air on Telemundo for in Spanish, but like they sign with somewhere like NBC or CBS or whatever. They make a deal with someone to air their shows weekly in English as well. Maybe like on one of CBS's local channels, they could have like or on the main CBS channel every Monday and Tuesday they could air. Well, to be successful in the US, they may change it to maybe Wednesday or Thursday, but they would still air do English commentary. I know that they do on AXS World, which is a new New Japan Pro Wrestling app, but I currently don't have subscription to it. So I wish they would air on a major company. I need to start watching Lucha Underground. I missed the past 11 episodes. I know there are a lot of wrestling promotions I want to watch if I had the time to watch. New Japan Pro Wrestling being one of them. I would love to watch that if they ever aired in the United States on TV. Yeah, that's my main problem. That's the only thing that's terrible in terms of being a pro wrestling fan, is that you really only have a handful of promotions airing on TV, and the only one that airs live is WWE. Everything else is taped or pre-recorded. So that sucks for me, but I just have to deal with it. I do love professional wrestling though. And I don't really watch WWE for the storylines or some of the wrestlers. There are wrestlers I do like to watch and support, so that's why I watch WWE, despite it being terrible. Despite the content being terrible and making little to no sense. I feel like I talk about wrestling in school a lot. And I definitely have talked about rap battles before. And I've talked about, TV shows. I don't have very many interests. I do need to expand in terms of getting more interests. If you have anything, for those of you that, do have interests, let me know. Well, I guess everyone has interests. Like, for me, it'd be like TV, film, professional wrestling, rap battles, and video games. I love history, so I do wanna. There are a lot of things I want to do. I want to watch that I don't. I should have watched during summer. I should have, but I didn't. I'm kicking myself in the butt for that. I also like traveling, making short films, I should say, but I haven't done any. And I guess technically scenes, but I would love to make short films. I can see that being a good interest, but I need to write a screenplay and find actors for that. Like I mentioned, that with school and YouTube, I don't really have the time. Although technically, I could just upload my short films to YouTube for y'all to watch if I ever do make them. So yeah. Think I'm okay. Okay, no, never mind. It hasn't started yet. I was gonna type something in the chat as CMLL to help promote my YouTube channel. Hopefully, get some eyes on it. Because like part of the reason I watch like FIBA and the United Show Professional Baseball and the Long Island Ducks and amongst other live streams is obviously to chat and watch the game, but also to, like, if someone's ever watching the live chat and they see my channel, I hope that they click on that whenever I typed in the chat when they're watching the video. And subscribe. And watch my videos. Which, if you do enjoy my videos and you want to see more like these, hit that subscribe button as well. And if you liked the videos, let me know by hitting that like button, because it lets me know that you enjoy them, and I'm doing a good job. So yeah, speaking of the Long Island Ducks, I think I mentioned them just now. The Long Island Ducks made the playoffs in the Atlantic League of Professional Baseball. I do love Major League Baseball, but they don't stream their games. They're on TV, so I'll watch them whenever I can. I haven't really watched much this season, which still a shame. I really do want to watch more. But the Long Island Ducks, the team is the team I follow the most, and they made the playoffs. I'm also a supporter of the Lancaster Barnstormers, and they made the playoffs, thankfully. In fact, there are, of the 8 teams in the Atlantic League of Professional Baseball, only 4 of them, I think really 6 of them live stream on YouTube. Okay, 5 of them live stream on YouTube. On their own YouTube channel. One is a traveling team, and they don't really live stream on the channel. The other 2 air on local TV. But of the 5 teams that live stream on YouTube this season, 4 of them allow you to chat. The 4 teams are the Sugarland Skeeters, Southern Maryland Blue Crabs, Long Island Ducks, and Lancaster Barnstormers. Now, the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs and Sugarland Skeeters only live stream home games. Long Island Ducks, they stream every Long Island Duck game, regardless if it's home or away. Lancaster, they technically do stream home and away, but they only show video for home games. Now, the teams that don't, the Road Warriors, which they're only here for this season, they play all of their games on the road, unless one of the teams they're visiting allows them to be the home team. But they don't really live stream. You have the New Britain Bees, which actually, I think they're one of the ones that air on their either on local TV or their website. You actually have the Somerset Patriots, which I think they air on local TV. You have the York Revolution, which live stream on YouTube, but they don't allow you to chat. And I think that's all the teams. See, York, New Britain, Road Warriors, and Somerset, yeah. I think those are all 8 teams. Now, the reason they have the Road Warriors in the Atlantic League of Professional Baseball this season is because of the fact that last season, the Bridgeport Bluefish, last season was their final season. And just because the town decided not to keep the team, or they voted on not to renew their contract. So this is the Road Warriors' 3rd season in the league. I think they played from 2011 to 2012, and then here in 2018, but the 2018 season. So they play all the games on the road just so there can be an even amount of teams, I guess. And next season there's gonna be a new team called the High Point Rockers, based out of High Point, North Carolina. Which, speaking of North Carolina, if you're Hurricane Florence, I know affected, I think, Florida, Georgia, and the Carolinas and Virginia. So if you're in any of those areas, please stay safe and please follow the city or state or government plans for evacuation, and please definitely stay safe. So yeah, my thoughts and prayers are with you. I have to move my thing again. The mouse. So yeah, that'd be interesting if the High Point Rockers decide to live stream on YouTube or not. But the playoffs start tomorrow. The 4 teams that made the playoff it's gonna be, the first series is a best of 5. Which is the first matchup is the Sugarland Skeeters versus the Lancaster Barnstorm. Yeah, the Sugarland Skeeters versus the Lancaster Barnstormers. So I'm rooting for Lancaster there. It's first to three wins. And the other series, which is my favorite Atlantic League of Professional Baseball team, the Long Island Ducks, they are playing the Somerset Patriots. And they start Wednesday. So I'll definitely try to keep an eye out for the entire series. And I'm rooting for Lancaster Barnstormers versus Long Island Ducks final series, which is also best of 5 in the ALPB. And I'm rooting for not Lancaster. I'm rooting for Long Island to win it all, but we'll have to see. All 4 teams have played very well this season. So I've gotten to know a couple of members in the chat for Lancaster and the Lancaster Barnstormers and Long Island Ducks. There aren't many people that talk in the Sugarland Skeeters or Southern Maryland Blue Crabs live streams. I'm kind of like the only one that really chats there and types something in every couple of minutes, hoping someone would talk to me and get a conversation, but no. So yeah, make sure you look up the Atlantic League of Professional Baseball on Wikipedia and follow them on social media. And for the 8 teams I mentioned, make sure you go and support them, especially the Long Island Ducks. I know the one thing I like. There's also some. I mentioned FIBA, which live streams their basketball games, which is an international basketball. It is the International Basketball Federation, and I love the fact that they live stream their games on YouTube. And it's always over various nations. It's like I think they've done the Caribbean Cup pre-qualifiers. And like maybe now it's the Eurobasket 2021 pre-qualifiers they've streamed. Or they can just stream friendly games between countries. And I would watch those. I'll try to watch those unless I have something to do. And most of the time I don't really stay for the entire game, but I really need to. So I'll chat there whenever I can. I know there's the International Hockey Federation for field hockey. I only chatted, and the International Netball Federation, which I do. Both YouTube channel, every YouTube channel and sports organization I mentioned, you should definitely check out. That I do. I've chatted there before, and do want to chat. Anyway, if you watch any sports live streams, if you follow any teams on YouTube that that really live stream their games, or any sporting organizations, whether it be local, regional, or national or international, let me know which ones you follow in the comment section if you do follow any. Yeah, there's only really one gaming YouTube channel that live streams on a consistent basis that I watch, and that is Infamous Infernape. I've mentioned him, so make sure you check him out. Zero's the other YouTube channel I watch for gaming, but he really doesn't live stream on YouTube. He live streams on Twitch, which if I can remember, I will link his Twitch down below, and I will link Infamous Infernape's live stream down below as well. Or his YouTube channel, and Zero's YouTube channel. I will probably forget, so please remind me. Oh gosh, I just realized we're on lap 28. I'm gonna send it back down to easy mode just to boost my confidence back up in terms of racing. I'm gonna do like maybe a waypoint race. That should be fun. But yeah, overall, I did terrible this race. But then again, I was more focused on talking to y'all than trying to win. I got lapped several times, so that's how you know I did terribly. I did terrible. Looks like my bad grammar hasn't changed. Well, you know what they say, some things never does. That's a bad grammar joke, by the way. Yeah, so, I totally lost my train of thought. As you can see, I'm a very boring person. I don't really have that many interests. Other than really sports, TV, films, video games. Well, things I can do at home easily. I don't have to play with other people or do with other people, even though I prefer to be around other people while doing these activities. Gaming. I love to travel, but like most people, I don't have the money. But oh well. Ah, shoot. I definitely should try to stream earlier in the day on Mixer. Just so I can actually boost my. Well, I know I sound like insincere and a jerk when I say boost my follower count, but yeah, I do wanna get a lot of followers on social media, mainly YouTube, but I also want to entertain y'all. I'm sorry, that came out the wrong way. I just realized that. I love to entertain people, but I'm not very obviously I'm not a very good at that. Obviously. Then again, for anyone streaming on Mixer, their goal not is to one whether if they upload on YouTube, live stream on YouTube, whatever, or live stream on Twitch or Mixer, their main thing is obviously to entertain people, but also to actually promote or actually to get followers for their channel as well. But what I'm trying to convey is that like 99.9999999% of the time, I do it to entertain you and to talk to you. Now, if you ever want to come and chat and talk to me, or you want to leave a comment on my YouTube channel. Oh, you know, the sad thing is, I thought the race had ended. I just now realized that. Technically, the followers shouldn't matter, and for the most part, they don't. I just sound like an a-hole. Pardon my language. Pardon my language. That came out the wrong way. So yeah, if there are any games you want me to, I finally downloaded Fortnite. I think started downloading it yesterday. I started and I finished downloading it earlier today. So if you want to play Fortnite with me, let me know in the comment section on YouTube. And if you're watching this on Mixer, my YouTube channel is in the description. You just have to scroll down to the info section and hit subscribe, because not only do I upload my streams to YouTube, I upload much more content to YouTube than I do Mixer. And Mixer only allows you to keep your streams on their website for like 2 to 3 weeks. So that's another reason why you should subscribe to my YouTube channel. Yeah, sorry for plugging that all the time in every video. But I do enjoy live streaming and making videos. I think I do love okay, we're gonna do a waypoint now in easy mode. Let's do a more run. I do love live streaming more. Yeah, I do love live streaming more. Okay, hold on. I do love live streaming more than I do making videos because of the fact, and now I would live stream on YouTube if I could. But I do love live streaming more because I get to interact with you. At least if you come to my live streams when I'm live streaming. If you don't, that's understandable. I'm not that good of a live streamer. But whenever someone does come in to my live stream, I love interacting with them and talking to them. I know I recently started back at the gym last week, but I'm not going tomorrow, unfortunately, due to getting some schoolwork out of the way. But if I'm not, I'm gonna try to start on maybe some horror stories. And yeah, I do want to make some horror videos, like read some stuff from Reddit, Let's Not Meet. Let me look up something on my laptop. Or real quick, I mentioned I wanted just to just leave a comment on the CMLL chat. Sorry about that. If I can remember, I'll link them down below in the... I'll link the video down below in the comment section as well. Okay, so... if you do want to watch some Mexican wrestling... professional wrestling... Alright, I've done that. Anyway, back to the more important things of entertaining you. Yeah. Oh gosh. I lost my train of thought. Yeah. It was something to do with live streaming. Yeah, I do love entertaining people and talking to people, so that's why I actually do enjoy live streaming. I need to get into a habit of live streaming daily on Mixer, whether it's half an hour, even if it's just 5 minutes. I do want to actually live stream. A little bit. I know that there'll always be times where I can't live stream, but yeah, like I can't. There will be times where I can't live stream as long as I want to or as often as I want to, but I will try. I mentioned that 5 to 7 page paper yesterday in my last Mixer stream, and I actually did start it yesterday. I started the research Saturday, but I started writing it Sunday. So I actually know a good I just a classmate helped me realize that for the to get 5 pages, I could just do an introduction. I could do an introduction page just talking about the film I wanted to do. Spend the next 3 to 4 pages. Well, I was given 4 films, but let's see. Let's not do Maple Hill. Actually, let's do Maple Hill. So I could actually do like maybe 3 pages of 3 pages of talking about the 3 films instead of the 4. 1 page per film, and then my 5th page will be the closing page, and then my 6th page will be the sources I cite. Because it has to be 5. Thankfully, it's 5 to 7 pages with sources cited, so I can just do a page, or at least if I don't write 5 full pages, I can start listing the sources on the 5th one, if that makes any sense. But anyway, so yeah, I'll probably be doing that. I do need to actually. I did work on the first page, not the introduction page, but the first film. I may need to change that and actually copy and paste that on a different page and make my introduction paper. Maybe just talking about the film. Yeah, just talking about the film I want to make and some of the films or the teacher gave me and why I think they're relatable in my film. And then on each page I can actually go into more depth about each film. I should probably do that. I know I mentioned earlier in the stream that I want to make my own films, but even if I don't, I still want to work on like sets and actually help out with the films, whether it be production. Like the one thing I realized about producers is that unless you work out a contract where you don't have to pay residuals, you'll have to pay residuals for however long the contract states, and that would sucks. Because personally, I would rather pay an upfront cost for the actors on my independent films, and then give the rest of the money I earn to the money I earn back to investors. I'd actually, personally, for me, the perfect way to create a movie would. I know this sounds greedy, but I mainly say this for less stress. Oh, I'm doing terrible. What? Let's go right here. For less stress, it would be. Oh, can figure out how to do that. So for less stress, it'd be to like crowdsource the film. Okay, hold on. Okay, yeah, for less stress, it'd be like to crowdsource the film, or like rely on donations, and then just pay my actors for an upfront costs. But realistically, to get to make films as an independent filmmaker, you would have to get investors, and you'd have to pay actors residuals. And for those of you that don't know, residuals are where you'd pay your actors a certain percentage of the profits from the film, and you mainly do that after you pay off investors. So like say you have one investor and they pay you $25,000 for a film to invest in your film. You would have to make back. You'd use those $25,000 and whatever money you can use via donations or any of your money. And then to make the film, and then not only you get it released in theaters, it has a successful film life, and once it gets all of that, once it starts making money via distribution, or gets put on, and distribution can include like DVDs, be available on Amazon, Netflix, iTunes, video on demand, stuff like that. So once you start making the money, the way most contracts are set up, you would pay off the investors first. Regardless of how much money the only time you would see the money you get is once the investors are paid off. So if that investor pays $25,000 for your film, you'd have to make $25,000.01 in order to at least get get money back for you. Because at least once you pay them off, once you pay off that $25,000, any of the profits after that, if you do have residuals in your contract, whatever money you get, your actors, directors, producers, everyone, I think part of the crew, mainly the actors, I think, will get a certain percentage of the profits. And we haven't gone over the terms of structuring the contract, so I'll probably have more information on that once we get there. But yeah, say like after you paid off investors, main your main actor, your star, gets 10% of the profits. Say your actor has 10% of the residuals. He would actually have to wait until you pay off the investors. And I'm just using $25,000 and 10% as examples. It varies across the films. So say your star gets 10% of all the project of all the residuals once the investors are paid off. Whatever I think after I know we're gonna go into more detail, but after a certain amount of time, you'd pay. Yeah, once we, you know what? Once we get in the class of business, film, and TV, once we actually get to the contracts, I'll talk more about it. Because right now, when it gets to the structure of the contracts, we haven't gone over that. We haven't gone over making profits, which you'd have to make your twice as much budget as your budget was, and you'd have to pay off your investors first, and then everyone else. For a film. So yeah, making films like is a risky endeavor because most independent filmmakers will go into debt and max out their credit cards and stuff like that just to make one film. So yeah, I have to move my mouse. And not only that, it's risky for the investors because not every film will make money. Not every film will become profitable. There are films where I'm sure there are films out there where the investors will actually never see a dime. They'll never see a penny of what they put in. Like you could invest in a film $12 in a film, and if that film makes $10, you'll never get all your money back. I'm just making up numbers here. So in fact, I think most films actually, especially most independent films, aren't that profitable, if they're profitable at all. And I think the reason if for those of you that are wondering why you have to make your budget twice as much as your budget, because film production companies, especially the big ones, they'll spend the same amount of money as the budget on advertising. It's like any of the main movies you see that came out this year, like Marvel's Infinity War or Black Panther. Their budget was in several millions. That was just for making the film. What they don't include in the budget is marketing, to get people to see the films. So they'd have to make whatever their budget is back, plus whatever they spent on marketing, in order to actually break even. And once they break even, if any money they earn will be any money they earn after that will be considered part of their box office. So there have been movies that have become successful in the box office. There have also been movies that have become complete box office bombs that don't make any money back. I'm sure, like, I know the Shawshank Redemption is considered to be one of the greatest films of all time. Okay, actually, a better example is the 1939 Gone with the Wind, which, when you adjust all the films for inflation, which is how much money they'd make, equivalent to money today, they would actually, Gone with the Wind would have actually is the most successful film of all time in terms of box office when adjusted to inflation, as of the time of this live stream. So think it earned like several $billions, if not trillion. And that's an example of a movie that's profitable. One that I can think of is Zoom. That's not successful as Zoom. It mainly starred like Spencer Breslin and Tim Allen. It was a superhero movie. I've never seen Gone with the Wind, but I've seen Zoom. And that was an example of a box office bomb. I'm sure there are more examples of profitable movies and box office bombs out there. Those are the two that come out off the top of my head right now. It's currently 9:21. That's cool. I've been going for about an hour and 10 minutes. So yeah. I do not have to go anywhere tomorrow. So I will be streaming as long as I want. However, I do have to seriously sit down and start writing my paper. I know it's due October 8th, but it's better to get a start on the paper now, as early as possible. So that way when the time comes, one, I would have already had it done, and two, instead of being super stressed out and cramming, writing the paper and cramming it all together, it's actually neat and well written as possible as I can make it. Yeah. So it's like when it comes to work, any work projects, or when it comes to school, especially with any assignments, the earlier you can start, the better the projects will be, because you spend more time on it. So kids, if you're watching this and you get an assignment, you get a project to do, start on it as soon as possible, because there's a better chance you'll make a good grade. Like if you have to study for a test, whether you're in college or in elementary, start studying as soon as possible, because you'll be able to retain and learn the information more if you start as early as possible, instead of never study it all in one night, because that's a bad idea. And so like the adults working or people working, if you have a team project, whether you're a teen or not, if you have a team project, or you just have a solo project for work, try and get on it as soon as possible. I mean, I've gotten the first part of a page done. I do need to expand and find more interviews. For each film, and make sure I get a decent introduction and closing page. I think citing sources may be a tough one for me, because of the fact that while I have had papers in the past, they didn't require us to cite sources, or they gave us the source ourselves, and they didn't want us to cite it, since it's based off of something the teachers gave us. So it's been several years since I've written a paper where I have to cite sources. So I have to relearn how to do that. That's probably going to be my toughest one. My second toughest, maybe equally as tough, is writing a good introduction and closing part of the paper. That's probably going to be my second toughest. Yeah, because I need to be creative with that. The one good thing is I am pretty creative, so that can help me in my advantage. It's just coming up with enough creativity to make a full page. Citing sources actually is the toughest part for me, because of the fact that I don't want to fail, and I don't want to get sued for plagiarism. I don't like along with every school, I'm sure the university policy at the University of Arkansas Little Rock, which I attend, the policy is if you plagiarize, you not only will you you'll fail the class. There's a good chance you'll fail the class. There's even a good chance you'll get kicked out of the university for plagiarizing. And if you cite your sources incorrectly, that can be considered plagiarism. And I do not want to take the chance. I really have to get most of my paper out of the way. So when it comes to citing sources, I can cite them as accurately and as well as possible. For any paper, when you have to do when you have to cite sources, you could even if it's like even if it's for class, odds are you probably won't get sued. Let's say it's like a research paper, or even if it's for like a news company. Say you're a journalist for a news company and you get information elsewhere, and you don't cite your sources, you're more likely to get sued. I guess if that makes any sense. And no one really, you shouldn't. The only people that like getting sued are the lawyers, because they get, no matter what, they'll get money. So, yeah. Actually, actually that would be cool to be a lawyer, but I probably wouldn't be a good lawyer. I'd like to being a judge would be interesting, actually. I mean, the terrible thing about if you're being like a defense lawyer, one terrible thing is the chance if you practice long enough, you will defend people who actually did commit a crime, a serious crime, and there are moral consequences of, do you defend them and make sure they get off, or you know because everybody should deserve a lawyer. Do you defend them and try to get them acquitted, or do you, as little time as possible, I guess, locked up? You can do a 20-lap race, or do you not defend them at all when they did the crime? So there are actually ethics involved in defending. Obviously, just because you're accused of something doesn't mean you actually did it. I could accuse you of stealing, but that doesn't mean you did it. I'm just using that as an example. Uh, no, not that I would accuse you, obviously, but just because I accuse you of something doesn't mean you actually did it, and that goes for anyone. But there are a lot of cases where there's evidence to suggest, even overwhelming evidence to suggest that they did the crime. So do you try to get them as little time as possible, or get them off? I mean, there are some. You could dive into the philosophical debate on the ethics of defending them. Um, and there have been notable examples of what I'm talking about. The Nuremberg trials, for once, where you obviously had the higher up Nazi people. They obviously did commit war crimes during World War II and like the Holocaust. So there's obviously some incredible. There are ethics regards defending them. Do you try to defend them to get found now not guilty when they did the crimes, or do you find them, or do you sentence them? If that makes any sense, I'm probably not explaining it that well. Anyway, moving on. No disrespect to the victims of World War II or the Holocaust. I'm just using that as an example. Sorry, off on a tangent there. I find philosophy interesting. It may not be useful. Well, I mean, it is useful, but I'd have a hard time, other than maybe writing books. Um, I don't think I could be wrong. Other than writing books for philosophy, are there any uh legitimate things of philosophy? Are there any jobs? I should say all. I mean, there are jobs. I guess a job can be legitimate, but you know what I mean. If are there any jobs that philosophers do? Like, if you have a philosophy degree and you actually use that degree for your living, what do you do? If you don't mind me asking, I don't mean to insult anyone with a philosophy degree, but I just haven't met anyone, to my knowledge, with a philosophy. I haven't met or interacted with anyone, to my knowledge, with a philosophy degree that uses their let alone that actually has a job related. But yeah, you could there just for you can have a philosophical debate with anyone over just about any subject, whether it being it doesn't have to be a moral and ethics. It could just be, and maybe teaching, other than writing books. But there are a whole lot of philosopher debates, philosophical debates. Um, you can have just about any subject, actually. You know, probably one of the more well known is if a tree falls in the forest and no one is there to hear it, does it still make a noise? You know, you could argue yes, it does, because everything, a tree falling over does make a noise. Just about everything actually makes a noise. The other would be, how would you know if it makes a noise? You're not there when it happened. There are a whole boatload of philosophical arguments. Anyway, yeah, sorry. I just find that interesting. I find history interesting as well. Granted, there aren't many jobs you can do with history, a history degree. I actually was at one point a history major with a minor in secondary education, but I wanted to, with my work, I wanted to entertain people and I wanted to travel, and I felt you couldn't, there wasn't a stable enough job you can do with, in terms of entertaining people with history. Like, what I mean is, like, you obviously, if I want to entertain people in terms of, while talking about history, you wouldn't imagine going to class or teaching people would be entertaining, but maybe making YouTube videos would be entertaining, or writing books. And I've mentioned numerous times I'm not a great writer. But maybe making YouTube videos, but it's always, especially in this day and age, with so many YouTube channels out there and how big YouTube it is always hard to actually get a channel started. It's always hard to get a channel successful. I mean, it's possible, but that shouldn't deter you. That's what I'm trying to say. Granted, with mass communication, I've seen articles saying that it's not exactly a good major to get because it's a shrinking job market. But I mean, like, obviously with mass history, a stable job would be like writing books for a publishing company, writing like textbooks, or teaching. Regardless of level. And um you may not earn a lot of money from teaching, but it's a stable job. And for mass communication, a stable job would be probably working in like a news, like for a news company. It's stressful, but I mean it's stable. But hey, one of the best things is that people are always looking for entertainment. So that's what makes YouTube good, is that regardless of your topic, whatever your channel is about, whether it's history, science, making short films, gaming channels like I do, horror stories, there's always a growing demand for entertainment, for content. The only downside is that while there is an ever growing demand for content to watch, whether it be on TV, YouTube, films, Netflix, Amazon, whatever, music, whatever it may be, it's while it's ever growing, it's also oversaturated. So it's very hard to now establish yourself, unless you are lucky enough to work with someone who's already successful. Like YouTube was originated. I mentioned YouTube as the prime example, but like maybe making in 2005 YouTube was founded and website was launched. So back then would have been the perfect time, from 2005 maybe to 2010 would have been the perfect time to actually create a YouTube channel to become successful and be successful on YouTube. Like whereas mass communication, say like it's film or TV, um your best chances are either making an indie film and hoping it goes viral nowadays, or getting a job for a well-known company that works with celebrities, which that's hard to do, I think. I'm going off on a tangent. I'm getting slightly distracted. I'm sorry. I think this will be my last race. Just because it's like 9:37. I'm not tired, but it is getting a bit late, and I don't want to spend my entire night playing video games. I mean I love streaming and playing video games. It's just I wanna just watch a little TV and relax by watching TV. I do tend to relax when I'm streaming and playing. Well, streaming I kind of relax, because I say kind of because there's always that added stress of making sure you talk and interaction with people when they come. Not that it's a bad thing. I do love talking to people, but when you're by yourself, like now, when there's no one actually interacting with me, whether it be recording a video or streaming, there's always that added stress of thinking of things to talk about until, I guess, when you're streaming, until someone comes in and talks to you. So yeah. Oh, I'm doing terrible. I almost said horrible. I meant to say terrible, and I meant to say horrible. Instead, I combined the words and said horrible, which is which is which isn't even a word. Um, yeah, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, I do love making videos. Making videos, in a sense, is easier than live streaming. In the sense of, if you're, in my opinion, this is related to gaming videos. You don't have to talk every time you make a gaming video. You can just you can just have game volume play, and you can just focus on the video game yourself. I prefer to do a mixture of both. There are there are times where I like to talk in a video, and there are times where I just let game volume play. And there are times where I actually talk, and usually in my longer videos, that are several hours long, I do a mixture of talking and letting y'all listen to the game. Just because I really don't think I would add, just because really, I don't think I have anything interesting to add in terms of commentary, so that's why. So yeah, we've been going for about an hour and a half, which is awesome. Um, yeah. So I definitely want to stream more in Mixer. So if you're watching this on YouTube, the link to my Mixer account is in the description. So please, please, if you do want to watch me live and talk to me while I'm live, please click on that and create an account. There's also other social media down below. Links to my other social media, the other social media accounts I actively use if you want to talk to me. I know Tumblr. Oh gosh. Tumblr, I have a Tumblr. I've created a Tumblr account, but I've never really used it. I just created one just so no one would take the account name Multi Apples. That is the only reason why I created a Tumblr account. I know their community is controversial to many, so I do apologize if it's offensive. I know Reddit can be controversial too, but I've created a Reddit account. I don't use my Reddit account though, and I don't use my Tumblr. In fact, the only reason I have those accounts is so no one would take the account name attached. No one would create an account with the name Multi Apples, and then yeah. Because while I do want to become successful on YouTube, and right now it's possible, but at the same time it's unrealistic, as I have to move my. Oh. That's cool. You can zoom out, yeah, that and zoom in. But even though it is unrealistic, if I ever do become successful on YouTube, I don't really want other people creating accounts pretending to be me. If that makes any sense. I'm sure there are legitimate celebrities that don't like that either. I mean, personally, for me, I wouldn't mind like if you see all these accounts that are parodies. Like, I was watching ESPN. Oh gosh, NFL Countdown. I was watching Sunday NFL Countdown yesterday on ESPN, and there's actually this parody account of Indianapolis quarterback and Indianapolis Colts quarterback Andrew Luck, and it takes obviously Andrew Luck, who's the quarterback, and it combines football with the Civil War era letters, and they use it as a Twitter account. And it's kind of like a parody of Andrew Luck. In that sense, I would if I was a celebrity, which is unrealistic that I would become one. Odds are it's not gonna happen, and I fully understand that. But if I was a celebrity and there was a parody account, I would actually endorse it and enjoy it, as long as it's not offensive. I mean, if they were to make fun of me and some of the things I say and do, that would be more than I wouldn't actually mind. But if it actually is like a terrible person running that account who maybe has done terrible stuff or makes terrible or offensive jokes, I should say, then I wouldn't mind, because my goal is and even as a small YouTuber, my goal is to entertain as many people as I can. So yeah, regardless of how many people watch it, and regardless if you like it or not, my goal is, or like the goal or content, my goal is to entertain you as much as possible. So I mentioned this earlier, but tomorrow I mentioned that I want to do list videos, and I think I may alternate it, but what I may do is spend part of my Tuesdays making horror story related videos, and then part of my Thursdays doing researching and doing list videos. I mean, theoretically, if I do set myself, I could take about an hour to about an hour and a half, at most 2 hours per video, to create a simple a list-based horror story video. And that's just doing research for it. Just that's including research and editing it together. So yeah, I will always cite whenever possible. I will always cite my sources for list videos. So I'll try, and horror stories as well. So for list videos, I'll always try to use credible sources. So nothing like BuzzFeed, or I try to use BuzzFeed, like Fox News and CNN, as little as possible. And the reason I mention those sources is because of the fact that they tend to be biased. Like, not everything that comes across not everything on CNN is false, but they tend to be biased towards the left and liberals, whereas Fox News is biased towards the right and towards conservatives. So, I mean, I would try to get, in terms of bias, I would try to get from as neutral source as possible, and I'm sure Fox News and CNN has aired stuff that have, and even articles on the website that are credible and legit, but I'm personally less likely to trust those websites that skew bias towards anyway. For me, they have to be legitimate, and they have to be, in terms of bias, they have to be neutral. Because I feel that with neutral, they don't play favorites. They don't try to skew the news and try to change the news to fit their own narrative. Is what I'm trying to mean. It's just you prevent the facts and nothing but it. Which I know I mentioned I watched Philip DeFranco. I know he gives his opinion, but he does regardless, even though he does give his opinion, he mainly presents he presents the news story, and he presents the facts first. And he does cite his sources. I'm not be like one of those YouTubers that does the news. I mean, if I had people helping me with it, I wouldn't necessarily mind, but I don't think I'd be one of those YouTubers that talks about the news. Yeah, so sorry, I got distracted because I thought I could hear some of the game volume in my ear. Anyway, but you should like one thing I learned is you should always regardless of what news you watch, you should always regardless of what news you watch, whether it be Fox News or CNN, if you truly want the news and the truth, you have to look on and find as many sources as you can, and make sure they all aren't all of the same side. Make sure they if you're a conservative, make sure even you see news on Fox News, make sure you also look to see if it's on CNN or MSNBC, because then or if it's neutral like PBS or BBC as well, then you know it's legitimate. And same goes for CNN. If you get your news from MSNBC or CNN, watch Fox News as well as BBC and PBS NewsHour, or PBS and BBC, because if it's on all the major networks, it's more likely to be legitimate news. It's more likely to be accurate and legitimate, I think. Now that's not always the case, but it's very well possible. So yeah, we're on lap 13 now. Well, we've been going for nearly 100 minutes, which is it's 60 minutes. So nearly an hour. Wow, 90 minutes is an hour and a half. totally had a brain fart. We've been going for about an hour and 40 minutes now. Now, with the way the stream is set up, I'm not actually sure of when the words are coming out of my mouth. If it's actually an hour and 40 minutes, or on my chat it says 100 minutes. It's actually maybe like an hour and 38 minutes. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. For those of you that watch the news, I always try to watch the news. The one thing I really hate about news in America is that it's always biased. More often than not, it's biased. Like MSNBC, CNN. I think NBC tend to be left wing. I'm not 100% sure on actually NBC. I think it's left wing. I'm not 100% sure on ABC News or CBS. I think CBS may be left wing as well. I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me on NBC or CBS or ABC. I'm not sure. I know Fox News is 10. MSN and MSNBC and CNN tend to be left leaning or tend to be left wing news, so they skew towards the left politically. Whereas whereas Fox News tends to be more right wing. So they tend to side with the more conservative parties. In their news. Sorry, you just have to. I mean, there's nothing wrong. It's just, I mean, it's personally if you're if you're politically you lean left or right. There's nothing wrong with that. It's your political beliefs. You have every right to believe that. It's just when it comes to news, I think it's important. While free speech is important, you should actually when it comes to the news, you should just tell the truth. Just leave any opinions and don't skew politically anyway. Just remain neutral. So just tell the truth and focus on the facts, not the opinions. Is what I'm trying to say. And so like I know PBS and BBC in terms of American news, PBS and NBC tend to remain neutral. So they, in terms of bias, they have little to no bias. Whereas CNN and Fox News do have bias in them. So I do feel like I don't know about you, but I do feel like if you're biased, regardless of whether a thing leans politically or conservatively, or news source, if there's bias, it loses loses its credibility, in my opinion. Now that doesn't mean that they do state the truth in their stories, that they never state the truth. It's just saying that they're more likely to be biased and not spin the truth into their own narrative, and maybe not tell the entire truth when it comes to a story. Like if you look at Fox News, the entire time Obama was president, Fox News would try to dismiss everything and try to be vocal against Barack Obama when he was president, regardless of your political beliefs, whether you think they're right or not. I'll leave that up to you. But instead they would focus more on trying to be the opposition to Obama than actually telling the truth and telling facts in regards to anything Obama related. And that's the same goes for CNN. If you look, ever since Donald Trump has been president, even when he got elected, even during the election, they would always the same way Fox News was vocal about their opposition to Barack Obama, CNN is vocal about their opposition to Donald Trump. Regardless of whether you like Donald Trump and Barack Obama or not, regardless of your opinions on them, that, in my opinion, that's not good. They should just be unbiased. So, like, Fox News is biased against Barack Obama, whereas CNN is biased. Yeah, Fox News is biased against was biased against Barack Obama, while CNN is currently biased against Donald Trump. When in fact they shouldn't be they shouldn't be biased at all, both sides. And I know I'm going on and on about it, but I do think that's an important issue in news, that you shouldn't be biased. You should just be neutral. Whether you regardless of your opinions on politics or whatever news article, you could be liberal. You could be liberal for a Democrat for all I care. Just tell the when you're on the news, just don't have it biased towards Democrats and against Republicans. Same goes for the opposite side, regardless of what party you're on. And I know I'm just using politics as an example. Because I know I do enjoy talking about politics, but I know there are people who don't, and people get really upset when someone disagrees with them, and they really shouldn't be upset, because people of all kinds really have different views, and as long as their political beliefs aren't hurting anyone, then you really shouldn't get upset. But like, there have been in politics, there have been obviously times where governments have hurt people, and obviously you should be against that when it comes to like infringing on rights or hurting other people. There are many cases in history for that, but when they're not hurting people, even today, like if their political beliefs aren't hurting anyone, they should be respected. If that makes any sense. Personally, if you're wondering, in regards to politics, where I stand, politically, I guess I hate using labels, but I'd probably identify as an independent. I don't like identity politics. But I would be an independent. I don't belong to one side. I do admit on some things I tend to be a bit more left leaning than right leaning, but there are things where I am right leaning. There are issues where I tend to be on the right. Like I tend to agree with the conservatives, and there are issues where I tend to agree with liberals. I'll give you an example. The death penalty, which is pretty controversial. I'm pretty liberal in that sense. I don't think the death penalty should be used as a punishment. In terms of right wing, I know this is pretty controversial, even more controversial than the death penalty, but abortion, for example. I do apologize for talking about these sensitive topics if you are uncomfortable with them. And let me know your opinions on these. As long as you're reasonable and you don't attack me or anyone else for their beliefs, you're more than welcome to discuss discuss politics in the news. But abortion, I tend to be pro-choice, or no, pro-life. I'm against abortion, but that's just my personal opinion. If you're for abortion, that's your right to be for abortion. You can have any opinion what you want, as long as it's not hurting anyone. As long as your opinion is not advocating hurting people or actually hurting people, then that's fine by me. You can disagree with me all you want. I don't mind that. I welcome it. So yeah, like I mentioned, I do apologize for bringing up these important topics, or these controversial topics, but yeah, that's kind of my thing. If you want to talk about anything political on my YouTube channel or with me on social media, more than welcome to. But I just give a fair warning. If you do disagree with me, I do not mind if you disagree with me. You never have to agree with everything with me or anyone else. You never have to intentionally get say you agree with them in terms of things. If you're pro-choice or you're pro death penalty, that's your decision. Um, the only thing I feel like people should agree on is actually talking about things like politics and religions with respect to each other and being civil towards each other. Because I know in this day and age, especially, I'm not sure anywhere else in the world, but I know a lot of times in the United States, growing up, you're taught never to talk about religion and to never talk about politics. But I think you should talk about religion and you should talk about politics, regardless of your whether you believe in God or not, regardless of your political opinion. You should talk about it, but you should talk about it with civility, and you should talk about it with respect to the other person. Because, just keep in mind when you're talking about these things, not everyone agrees with you. So yeah, I know I probably lost. I'm probably gonna if this video goes viral, which it likely won't. Just like every other of my videos, but I'm pretty sure this video is gonna get guaranteed dislikes over that whole politics thing. So yeah, I do apologize for bringing it up in a video when I'm trying to entertain you. And these are just my thoughts on the news and things like that. So it is important to talk about these things and be respectful towards one another. So yeah, even if you agree with me and if you disagree with me, that's fine. Let me know your opinion if you're willing to talk about it. But fair warning, if you disagree with me and attack me or anyone else for their beliefs and you disagree with them, I will be blocking you and deleting your comments off of YouTube if you decide to let me know in the comment section. And I will be blocking you if you're disrespectful. What I'm trying to say is if you're disrespectful to people, to me or anyone else in terms of politics and religion, regardless of what your opinion, if you're disrespectful, I'm blocking you. I'm not gonna have that on my channel. If you're respectful, you're more than welcome to. But even if you, and that goes the same with people who agree with me. If you're disrespectful to those who don't agree with me or don't agree with you, if you're disrespectful, I'm not gonna have it. When talking about these things, we have to be respectful. Anyway, I'm done talking about that. Well, other than let me know what you think, but I'm done talking about that. That's probably gonna get a lot of dislikes, but that's just how I feel. Speaking of ending the video, I do apologize for bringing that up because I know not everyone enjoys talking about those things. I personally do, but not everyone enjoys. I personally enjoy it in terms of to learn new information and become more well informed. But anyway, I'm done. I promise. I hope y'all have a good one. Stay safe. Feel free to like this video. Feel free to subscribe. Feel free to share my YouTube channel. Feel free to share this video as well, and feel free to add this video to your favorites. Links are down below in the description if you want to talk to me on any other social media site. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're watching this on Mixer, before Mixer deletes it, I have my YouTube and I have my Twitter links in the info section. And please subscribe to my YouTube because all of my streams will be uploaded to YouTube. And because Mixer does delete them, and I do upload more content to YouTube than I do on Mixer. So I hope you have a good rest of your day, and deuces.